What's good, family? Adrian back with another video, man. I appreciate each and every last one of you guys for continuing to rock with the channel. We have been growing over the little hiatus that I had to take. I apologize to each and every last one of you guys for taking so long to drop new content. I actually had an unexpected house guest for the last few weeks, and just trying to accommodate them kind of through my schedule off from making content for you guys, and just trying to juggle, you know, being a new dad and not only fatherhood, just juggling my full-time job and all of that kind of stuff. So it's been a minute since I've been able to tap in with you guys. So while I had the opportunity tonight, I wanted to just check in and let you guys know that I am definitely still here for you guys, and I love you guys so much. And just thank you guys for continuing to rock with the channel, man. I appreciate each and every last one of y'all. So salute to the family for that. And this video is basically going to be talking about my call to the domestic violence hotline. And I made this call as research for the channel. I kind of wanted to know what it is that they did and actually how they handled, you know, calls or complaints when people called in. And I kind of wanted to do that. I put myself as the sacrificial lamb for the family members here, just in case. I'm not sure if you guys have ever had the opportunity to call, but I kind of wanted to know what they did to kind of spread the message for you guys to make the phone call if they impressed me at all. And actually, I was very, very impressed on how they handled the call. First of all, they were extremely professional. Everything is anonymous, so that was cool because I didn't have to give any of my personal information out, and I didn't have to give any of the personal information about the abuser out. So it was literally just a kind of casual conversation. I mean, there are some formalities when you first call. They, you know, kind of ask a little bit about your demographics on like where you're calling from, like what city you're calling from, that kind of thing. But they don't ask for your name or any of that kind of stuff. And you can pretty much give up whatever information it is that you would like to give up. So once they go through the formalities, they give you the opportunity to basically tell your story. And I ended up just going ahead and telling my story because, number one, she made me feel extremely comfortable. Like I said, I will give them the credit for being, number one, extremely professional and extremely knowledgeable about different types of abuse that I was not aware of at all. And I'm gonna explain a little bit more as we go, but basically, I started explaining my story to you guys, and some of you guys, especially the ones that have been here for a while, you guys know a little bit about my story, but I haven't had an opportunity to tell my full story. I wanted to kind of wait until we built the family up a little bit more, and I can just tell my story in one shot and kind of get it out the way, so I didn't have to like keep retelling it and reliving it all over again. But basically what ended up happening was I had to tell the domestic violence hotline the entire story, and I started from the beginning to the end. And what impressed me about it was, number one, she was very patient with me, so she let me get the entire story out. Which a lot of people that you call or that you try to talk to, not that you call, but that you try to talk to while you're going through abuse, they kind of want to cut you off and tell you, you know, oh, just get over it. And they are not empathetic to your situation at all. They, especially people that just don't understand narcissistic abuse. If you've never been through this, then you won't really know what the person that is going through this is actually going through. So she impressed me a lot because she allowed me to get the full story out. And then after I ended up getting the full story out, she actually started identifying the different types of abuse that I had been through. And it was a few that stood out to me. And one of the main ones that stood out to me was financial abuse. And one of the questions was, did the narcissist in your situation, did she abuse you financially? And I had originally answered the question no, because I was thinking of financial abuse in the sense of, like, you know, stealing credit cards or, you know, draining your bank account or something like that. So I was like thinking along those lines. But what the lady from the hotline mentioned, she said, well, did you miss any time from work? And I was like, well, no, I didn't really miss any time from work, but I definitely suffered from not being able to focus at work, and me losing my focus actually almost caused me to lose my job. And she said, well, that's financial abuse. And I said, well, you know, I didn't really look at it like that when she said it. And she's like, yeah, I mean, you got to understand that an abuser, sometimes they will keep you up at night. They will, you know, sleep deprivation just so you won't be sharp on your job, just so you won't be able to produce on your job as you normally would. Or, you know, some of the things that you've been through, you can't focus on your job. And if you have the type of job where you have to be very analytical, like my job actually is, then she said, yeah, that's financial abuse. She basically altered your state of thinking to the point where you were suffering on your job performance. And she said that was an attack on your finances. And she said, you may not have seen it that way, but abusers know what they're doing. So she asked me, you know, had I been, you know, baited into arguments late at night, and towards the end, like once, like right before the discard, I actually was like, I remember a time where me and the narcissist had actually been laying in bed. We had been asleep, and I had been asleep for a few hours, and then about 3 o'clock in the morning, she just poked me, like waking me up, and she's like, hey, can we talk? And I'm looking at her, I'm like, it's 3 o'clock in the morning, like, what do you have to talk about that we couldn't have talked about before we went to bed? And she's like, yeah, I mean, I just really want to talk about some of the things that's going on in our relationship. And when she woke me up, it was literally like, once I got up, got out of the bed, and, you know, started to address the situation with her, she really wasn't saying anything. And I'm like, you woke me up for absolutely nothing. But I realized, like, I had other stuff to do. Like the next day, I had things that I needed to take care of. And it was kind of like she was depriving me of my sleep and depriving me of being able to, like, handle my business for the next day. And the narcissist will subtly, sneakily do that to you. They will, you know, just subtly come in and try to control your days and try to control your sleep patterns and all of that kind of stuff by causing arguments in the middle of the night, waking you up in the middle of the night to talk about some crazy stuff, some stuff that could have been talked about or addressed at a different time. So it's like, I didn't realize that there were so many different various levels of abuse that I had gone through. It was, you know, the ones that were more blatant, of course, I could call those out, and I saw them directly for what they were. But when I actually made that phone call to the domestic violence hotline, they were able to identify a lot of areas that I had not actually considered as being abused, you know, and I didn't really realize the extent of how far the abuse went, because I was overlooking certain types of abuse that I actually experienced, but I didn't know how to identify it. So I encourage each and every last one of you guys to don't do it all at the same time, y'all, but I'm gonna drop the number that I called. And like I said, I was extremely impressed with, number one, it was it was anonymous. Number two, it was extremely professional. I didn't feel rushed about talking about my story at all. I was actually on the phone with the young lady for about an hour and a half, and we were just chopping it up. And then I was also impressed that at the end of the phone call, she provided me more resources in my area, like that were, close to me, that could give me further help, because this is kind of like helping you identify what the abuse that you went through is. So if you guys are at that point in your healing journey where you kind of want to know each level of abuse that you went through, I encourage you guys to make that phone call. Like I said, don't do it all at once and flood their phone lines, man. But as you guys are going through your healing process, I definitely encourage you guys to make that phone call and just see what types of abuse that you might have gone through that you missed, that you didn't even realize that you had experienced, because you were so focused on something else. Like I was so focused on some of the other things that she had did that I didn't even realize that I was being abused financially by sleep deprivation, and also just by taking me off my game to the point where I couldn't focus at work. And I literally almost lost my job because of the fact that like I said, I have a very analytical job, and I have to be on point. And I have one of those type of jobs where I can't make a lot of mistakes. So throughout that time where the abuse first started, I actually ended up on a performance plan at work, and I literally just got off of that performance plan at the end of 2021. So I spent nearly a full year on a performance plan, and I know a lot of that was due to the fact that I just could not focus at work, because I was ruminating at the time. I was at work and I was doing my work, and I was physically there, but my mind was literally ruminating over and over and over about what happened in the situation, and just being upset at the fact that my son wasn't with me. And it was a lot of stuff going on that I had to actually just accept. And once I was able to accept everything, I was able to kind of focus a little bit more at work. But it definitely took me a while to get past some of the things that had been done, and for me to get back on track at work. So I encourage you guys to definitely make that phone call. I'm going to leave the number for the domestic violence hotline in the description of the video. And like I said, I encourage you guys to just make that phone call, because you will identify areas that you probably didn't even realize that you were being abused in. And it definitely made a difference for me to call, even though I've been out of my narcissistic situation for almost a year and a half now. So even for you guys that are brand new to it, if you are not ready to talk about your story, maybe give it a little bit of time, because it will definitely set off some triggers. But if you guys are ready to talk about your story and you want to, kind of get it out there, and also if you guys kind of just want to get your story documented, that you did call somebody for some type of help, I think that is a good way to get it documented anonymously, and just save your record, save the phone call, and just make sure that, you can always say, okay, well, I made the phone call to the domestic violence hotline for this particular issue on this particular day. And that's what I ended up doing, is just kind of saving my records on that, just in case, anything went crazy and I needed that evidence for whatever reason. But I will talk to you guys in a minute, man. I love you guys so much, man. Appreciate each and every last one of you guys for rocking with the channel. I will be back with more content soon. And yeah, if you guys are interested in making that phone call, I encourage you to do it, just for the simple fact of identifying the different abuses that you may have been through. So salute to the family, man. I will get back with y'all in a minute.